Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Freeing Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Dukeman, and this week I have Jen Coles with me. And Jen is an amazing person that I met, oh gosh, I don't know, about 6, 7, 8 months ago. Um, Jen, tell us about yourself and what you do, and how what you do can help people with PTSD and other traumatic events.
Hi. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, always.
Um, so I teach breathwork. I coach people in breathwork, and it's quite the story of how I got to this place. Um, we can start way back from the beginning. Breathwork is a tool, it's an active meditation to help with stress, anxiety, and trauma in the body. And so it's a tool that I found along my healing journey. And I had a very, very traumatic childhood, very abusive mother, and a lot of trauma in my childhood, a lot of neglect and abuse. And I was basically living in my fight or flight survival mode my whole life. And I went from that childhood to an abusive marriage, same type of situation, but I feel like when you go from one to another because that's kind of what your nervous system is used to.
Mhm.
That's where your nervous system is comfortable at being at, even though it's not a comfortable situation. um so I was in a very abusive marriage, and I was in that for a very long time. And I used to cope with that. I didn't know I was coping with drinking alcohol, and it was just kind of an escape for me, just kind of a numbing out. Um, and I drank, my drinking got really bad. But over while I was leaving him, I left him after about 8 years. And while I was leaving him, I woke up one day and the whole left side of my body was numb and tingling, and I thought I had a stroke. And I didn't have insurance. We didn't have insurance at the time, so we didn't go to the hospital. We just kind of tried to figure it out with Google and stuff on our own. But I finally had left him, and I went to the hospital, or I went to the doctors and did a series of tests. And this was months later. So I was dealing with this numbness and tingling on the left side of my body for quite some time. And went and they did tests, and they diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. And I got that diagnosis. So this was when I was 25 and I'm now 38. Um, I got that diagnosis and I just was in complete denial. And I kind of spiraled out. My whole life just kind of spiraled out. And I was a single mom of two at this point and just had no tools from going up, you know. And I just kind of went into my whole life was just kind of numbing out. I didn't want to feel, I didn't want to acknowledge it. I didn't do any research, I was scared to death of it. And I just kind of took it as a death sentence at the time and just really self destructed. And my drinking progressively got worse. And I was really, really depressed. And I just thought that was life, that we just basically woke up, went to work, and died. That just life just felt very strange to me. Um, I wasn't happy, very anxious all the time, very much alone because I had cut my mom off at this point, and so I didn't really have a good support system. And because I was of the depression, I was very suicidal, and I didn't see any way out of this. Backing up just a little, my disease progressed so badly because of the self destruction I was doing, not taking care of myself, that I ended up in a wheelchair. I had a really bad relapse. This was my third relapse, and this one really took me out. My worst one yet. Unable to walk, was in the hospital for a while, um, navigating this alone, got out of the hospital, couldn't walk on my own, had to use a cane and a walker, and have my ex help me with the kids. but I just was so depressed at this point, that I didn't see any other way out but to end my life. And when the doctors sent me home from the hospital from that relapse, they had sent me with, like, it was over 60 sleeping pills. I don't remember what they were. Um, but I was just done. I wrote a letter to my kids. I don't know where that letter is. I hope I threw it away. um, I wrote this letter, just sobbing, I just didn't see any way through. And I took all those pills plus um a lot of Xanax that I had, plus drinking. So I just mixed everything I could. And I woke up the next day and nothing happened. Like, I even think I slept like 8 hours too. I didn't sleep in or anything. And I was like, okay, this is my sign to do something different. And that next morning, I wrote pages and pages of gratitude, for everything you can think of. Grateful for the sun, grateful for my shampoo and conditioner, everything, because I
Mhm.
was just at rock bottom. And I that was when I started turning my life around. That's when I said I got to heal myself from within.
Mhm.
Nothing, nothing I've done at this point is working. I have to try different things. So I found many different modalities along the way that I even still use today. And along that way, I found breath work. And it was something that's was so powerful when I did it, and so healing for me, that I knew I had to learn how to teach it so that I can help others discover the power of their own breath, what it could do for them, how much it's helped me, how many transformations I've seen happen because of this tool. So,
Yeah. And I think it's, one, I just have to know miracles happen. Like, we
mm-hmm,
don't always see them, but that is a miracle that um you were unsuccessful at taking your own life, and that you saw that that was an opportunity for more. But
mm-hmm,
a lot of people don't really know what breath work is. I certainly didn't know about it until I learned about you. And so I've done breath work. We were talking about this on Tuesday, I think 5 times now.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a pretty remarkable experience for those that don't know. Um, can you kind of walk us through a little bit of what breath work actually is,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I guess how it helps?
Yeah. So I teach holotropic breathwork, and I teach a continual conscious breathing. We are just breathing for long periods of time. And when we're doing that, we are moving energy in our body. When we go through anything traumatic or anything stressful, we suppress our emotions, and we've suppressed our emotions even since we were a kid. We don't have to have big traumas. A lot of people don't have big traumas, they have little traumas, just like your mom saying no to you or something when you were a little kid. But a lot of us do have big traumas, and we have suppressed that in our nervous system and just kind of pushed it down, tucked it away, and haven't really processed those experiences. So when we are breathing in these with breath work, when we're breathing these long periods of time, we are going into our nervous system, into our limbic nervous system. We are quieting our conscious mind and opening up our subconscious mind. When we do that, we go in there and we're able to complete that trauma cycle that we were in and close it and complete it. So, whatever was in there, whatever emotions were in there, will come to the surface, which is why you will have an emotional release or experience, like, even people will, yell or scream in breath work, move a lot, cry a lot, let out whatever that experiences was. So you're able, literally, it literally clears it out so that you can feel lighter, you can feel more free in your body, and you can feel more safe. And it just helps you move through all of that in a safe way. So,
Yeah. And yeah, I appreciate the explanation, because it is very specific type of breathing. I mean, you're not just
mhm,
in and out. and that was like one of the things that I didn't really understand when I first heard about you and what you do. And so my girlfriend Brittany had done breath work with you back in, I think it was October. And that was the first time I had really ever heard about it. And like, I don't really get it, but like heard a lot of profound things about it from other people that were in that experience with her. And um, I had done it, gosh, I don't know, maybe it was the next month, went to one of your breathwork classes. And so like I've talked about on this podcast here that I do ketamine treatments for PTSD, and that's a reoccurring treatment. The duration between treatments spreads out, where initially it was twice a week. Now I'm like once every 3 months, and just continue to spread those out further and further as I've strengthened the neural pathways in my brain and gotten things to function better. But I'm always looking for other things out there so I can speak from a place of experience to help other people. And so I wanted to experience breath work. Brittany was like, you got to try it. Like, it's insane. Like how the what it is. And like, it wasn't anything that she had thought it was. She just thought it was kind of just like breathing and meditation. And so, so having been through, I'm right about 2 years of ketamine treatments now and feeling like I'm in a really good space. And like, yeah, like I'm good and like I'm helping people now and I'm speaking from a place of experience. Go to one of your breathwork classes, and that one I actually took Arlie with me, my 11-year-old daughter, and I was really hesitant to take her because I'm like, gosh, I don't know. Like I've heard that it's kind of an intense experience, and like, people are screaming and crying and laughing, and there's this range of emotions, and it's in this group setting, and yeah, I don't know. And I was really nervous. Like, it's an 11-year-old. Is she going to grasp this? Is she just going to freak out and be like, Dad, we got to get out of here? And so, but she's like, no, I want to try this. And like, I we kind of joke like that we're into like the hippie stuff a little bit. And like that was initially like 2, 3 years ago, and somebody brought up breath work. I'm like, I would have just been like, no, that's some hippie shit. I'm out. Like meditation was the same way for me. And meditation's a profound part of my life now. Um, so we go to this breathwork session with you, and I came out of that experience realizing that I had things that I still hadn't healed, that I worked on in that experience. And I was like, I felt such an overwhelming connection to you and the other people in the room as they were as they were working on things in their life in that session. But the profound thing to me was that I didn't have to go to a clinic and sit in a chair and have ketamine injections for 4 hours to have a very similar outcome. And what I've learned about that since through talking with the uh, the staff at the ketamine clinic and the gentleman who runs the ketamine clinic that I go to is that it is a very similar thing. What happens in the brain through breath work is happens
Yeah.
through ketamine treatments and other psychedelic treatments that are being used for mental health. And that was a profound thing for me, that I had no idea that just through the simple act of conscious breathing in a very specific manner
Yeah.
could I have that level of effect on my brain and go to that space that I actually thought was only obtainable through like medication.
Yeah. It's
And
wild.
it is wild. And I if somebody would have told me that, I would have told them they were a liar.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have believed it in 1,000 years. But
Yeah.
having experienced it,
Uh-huh.
I know it now, and have had opportunities to go back and do breath work with you other times. I've taken Barrett, my oldest daughter, my 13-year-old, with me. My 7-year-old really wants to go. I'm not sure if she's ready, but they are just such a profound experience. And I think that the healing that can come from them is remarkable. And because of what they can do, like certainly you've seen a range of things that people have come and do. And I've talked with people after those sessions and had people share with me and it's amazing the stuff
Mhm,
that people are going there to work on.
mhm,
Can you kind of touch on some of the things that breath work can help with, like the range of things?
mhm. So it can help with so many things. There's so many health benefits too. It helps with depression, it helps with anxiety. It helps you kind of just learn to manage your emotions better. Um, it's good for blood pressure. It's good for releasing toxins out of the body. It's good for digestion. It helps you find clarity, helps you find answers you're looking for. Like I said, it helps you work through any trauma that you're going through, any stress that you're going through. Um, Helps with inflammation in the body, which is one reason that I love it because multiple sclerosis is an inflammatory disease. So that's a really good tool for me to use. Also, the stress. Um, and it helps regulate your nervous system. I like to think of it as a workout for your nervous system. And some people that come to my classes just kind of go just to reset that nervous system.
Mm.
No major breakthroughs, no major transformations, but their body just feels so good, peaceful, and really grounded, and they feel connected to themselves. Because when you are doing breath work, you're able to get out of the mind, drop into the body, and feel connected to your body, which most of us are so disconnected from ourselves. We're just walking around, living in our fight or flight all the time, in survival mode all the time. So some people just come just to feel that peace that session is going to give you. And a lot of times my sessions are just a very peaceful, grounding, deep meditative session. So it's there's just so many benefits to breath work. It helps with your intuition, accesses your intuition, and like you said, it really opens you up and makes you feel really open to love for yourself, love for all the people in the room if you're in a group setting. So there's just so much power in this just by breathing.
Yeah, it is a really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
What type of sessions do you do? So you do group sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a couples session with Brittany and I.
Mm-hmm.
What other stuff do you do as far as your breath work?
So I teach the transformational breath work, which is where we're going to go on journeys and it's
Mm.
going to be breathing from anywhere from like 35 minutes to an hour. Like 45 minutes is usually the sweet spot. Then every morning I do my own breath work, which is anywhere from 3 to 10 minutes. This type of breath work, because it's short, you can do anywhere. I don't recommend doing it driving because you can get dizzy. But I use it all the time. There's different breath patterns I do. Like for anxiety, I do in through the nose, long exhales out the mouth, and I just do that for a few minutes or 3 minutes every time I feel anxious, every time I get nervous, every time I'm about to teach. I use that one a lot. There's breath patterns for grounding. There's breath patterns for energy. So if you're brand new to breath work and you want to just clear out any energy, I would start in the morning and just do it 3 minutes, work your way up to 10, try a breath pattern that you like. And it's just like I said, it gets you grounded to yourself, just really quick, clears everything out, and you just feel really good, even with 3 minutes of doing breath work. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Um, so you're kind of you're going all over the place with this too now. Like it's been kind of an interesting progression watching you grow in this and what you do.
Yeah.
Um, as far as your services go, I mean, uh, obviously I know you do some community type stuff. You do
Mhm.
travel for some other things. What does that look like as far as where you'll go, what you do, and
So, yeah, it was probably last July when I went all in on my business. I quit my 9 to 5 and went all in. I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to do, but I'm going to do it. And it's a scary thing because I had 2 kids. Um, but it has taken off. It's really taken off here in Utah. People love breath work. They see the benefits, they feel it, they come back for more. word of mouth is really spreading about it.
Mm.
So I host at least two classes a month. Actually, no, that's not correct. I do like four, two at Warrior Strength, and then I do my own out in the valleys. Find places to go do it, spots to do it. Where if I'm alone, I let 35 people about max come in because it's a lot of space to hold with
Mm.
one person. And when everyone's going through their process, I want to make sure they get the care they need while they're going through it. So I max out about 35. Um, and these classes sell out. They sell out quick now. So I do my own, and then I do some virtual online when people reach out to me and ask. The virtual online experiences are great. You can get, if people are brand new to it and they just want to taste what breathwork is, dip their foot in it. It's a really good experience. I personally like the in person more because it is just a different experience. But I do, one-on-one sessions at my house. I am couple sessions. Breathwork for couples is a really powerful thing. I think when couples are in that space together, it brings them a lot closer. When we're healing together, it really opens the couples up. So I do love doing couple breathwork sessions. And yeah. Oh, and then travel. Yeah, people reach out to me. They have me. I've been flying around a lot lately um, to travel for breath work. So that's been really fun. I've met a lot of incredible people doing it, and a lot of new people who are like, what was that? So it's been a fun experience for sure.
Yeah, and that was certainly my experience with it was what was that?
Yeah.
Um, it was so hard for me to even explain, and I've talked about it on some posts that I've done on social media. Brittany and I have talked about it on her podcast, and it is a surreal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me and what I do, I really saw instant value in it as far
Mm-hmm.
as being a person who deals with a lot of anxiety and apparently still some things with PTSD that I've needed to process and work through. It has allowed me to go deeper within myself
Mm-hmm.
and to really uncover and process those things that I didn't even really know still existed.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what was so profound the very first time that I did breath work with you was that I did think that I was in such a good space. And I am in a good space, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when I came out of that, I was like, wow, I there's still stuff buried in
Mm-hmm.
there. And I was kind of in a I was in awe because I didn't know it was buried there,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a profound enough experience that when I was done, I felt light. I felt like I had released a lot of burden
Yeah.
from carrying that around, even
Mm-hmm.
though my mind had shoved it so far back in the deep, dusty corners that
Uh-huh.
I wasn't even consciously aware that it was even
Right.
hanging out.
Right.
And I think for me, because I was intrigued by what you do and had talked to other people who had done it, that I went into it very open-minded
Yeah.
and going, okay, like I kind of understand how this works from a
Mm-hmm.
scientific standpoint
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, uh like I'm gonna get tetany, which is where your hands kind of
Mm-hmm.
shrink up and curl up, guys. So if you're in like the medical field at all, you know what that is.
Yeah.
And we know that that is essentially like from hyperventilate, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and so like from a very like scientific standpoint, letting my career and knowing what I know as an EMT
Uh-huh.
cue into that and being like, okay, like I know that these things like there's a scientific reason that happens and this is why it happens. But
Yeah.
going in and actually having a purpose behind why you're doing it instead of I'm hyperventilating because I'm in fight or flight and
Mm-hmm.
I'm freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was very fascinating how it unlocked those things. And
Yeah.
my going into it open, knowing that there's more than just that this is why this is happening,
Yeah.
allowed me to really go deep. And each time I find that I go deeper. And
Yeah.
sometimes I never get out of it what I think I'm gonna get out of it.
Yeah.
Um, there was one of the sessions I did with you, I was just like, I don't know, I just checked out. Like
Yeah.
it felt like there was 20 minutes that I don't know what happened. I was gone. Like I don't even remember hearing myself breathing. I was like, did I fall asleep? Did I pass out? Like, don't really know. But then when I came back to it in the perspective later
Yeah.
of that experience and just being like in this completely different space,
Hmm.
um, that allowed me to process things and focus on things
Uh-huh.
and work on things that again didn't even know they were there. So I think a lot of it was just being willing to go in and be vulnerable to the situation, be vulnerable to what you're doing and accept it for what it is and not fight it. Um,
Yeah.
for me has helped.
Yeah. And don't you think each session, um, there's no two journeys that are ever the same. They say, don't you think the 5 sessions you've done have been so completely different? Even though you know what's you're going to experience a little bit, but it's going to give you something different every single time.
Yep, it does every time. And I found it fascinating too, because those that don't know, there's a little bit of journaling that we do before the session and afterwards, maybe writing a few things down while it's fresh in your head. Maybe you're still not done processing it all,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been fascinating to me because I've kept that little book that you handed out to do the
Oh,
journaling in.
yay.
And so I use it every time because otherwise I'd have
Mm-hmm.
like 5 books with 1 page written in.
Yeah.
And it's just a little notebook, right?
Yeah.
Um, so it's been fascinating to me to go back and look at that from the first one to the second one and
Mm-hmm.
so on, and just kind of see like what my intentions were going into each of the sessions and
Mm-hmm.
what I wanted to release, and then the experience that I had
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. Because we kind of forget. I mean, that's just human
Yeah.
nature, especially with the society we live in. We're very instantaneous that this is right now, this is what I'm thinking about, this is on my mind, and then tomorrow it's gone.
Yep.
So it's been interesting to see that because it is so different. I think the only common thing with every breath work is the first 10 minutes are a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a struggle, first 5 to 10 minutes
Yeah.
of just kind of getting into that space and breathing the way that you need to breathe. And
Yeah.
it's because it is work. It's hard, like you say. And
Yeah.
but once you kind of get over that initial hurdle, like for me, it's like when I go for a jog or something. The
Mm-hmm.
first 10 minutes really suck. And then
Mm-hmm.
then I'm warmed up and I'm going and it's okay.
Yep. Yep. And that's I tell everyone it's about the first 10, 15 minutes for some people where your brain's going to get really loud to try to kick you out. You're going to really have to work at this, stay committed to that breath. And then after that, that mind starts to quiet down and you drop into your body, the breath takes over, and you don't know if you're breathing for 10 minutes or 5 hours.
Mhm. Yeah,
Time goes by so quickly.
it does. And I've noticed that too, where after that first little bit where it's a struggle, all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden you get past that and then you're done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And I love that going in with an intention with breath work is always so good, which is why I tell everyone to write their intentions down because everyone's intention is different. So I've given people the space to write them down. There's some workshops where I bring in the intention, but we can go in with one intention and come out with something completely different
Mm.
because you don't know what's going to open up when you unlock that subconscious mind. So,
Yep.
but it's going to give you exactly what you need and probably didn't even know that you needed.
Yeah.
And I tell people whatever comes through for you, whatever comes to the surface is really what you need to focus on, really what you need to take action in your life. Pay attention to whatever that was. Don't just close that chapter and keep going. Pay attention to what it was, listen to what it was, and take action to it. Integrate it in your life. There's a process after the breath work,
Mhm.
especially for moving all that energy after a session. Some people can't even process everything that came through. They're like, I don't know how to put this in words.
Mhm.
But over the next few days, over the next week, it starts to unfold a little more. Things seem a little more clear. I hear people say all the time, I just feel really clear. my thoughts are just clear, very open. So it's just, I love what it gives people. And I love after throughout the week. I'll be driving in my car and after doing a breathwork session 3 days later, and I'll have just a clear, crystal clear answer on something. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know I needed that, but it's just so clear. It just comes to me like these downloads, and I just love them. They just keep coming through. I love
Mm.
it.
Yep. And I've certainly experienced that too, where
Mhm.
even as I've kind of processed in that process of integration, and
Mhm.
for anybody who's done like EMDR treatment, um, any sort of different, even just therapy, like we kind of open up a wound, so to speak, or
Yeah.
open up this box, and we deal with what's inside of it and kind of shuffle it around, organize it, and then we close the box.
Mhm.
And then we maybe a few days later, there's some clarity to that, and
Mhm.
that integration just happens. It doesn't happen instantaneously. So as that integration happens over like 1 day, 2 days, a week,
Mhm.
sometimes I forget that I've done breath work and that's
Yeah.
what's happening. Because I after one session, I was for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, I just had this really weird feeling. It was just nagging and just, it was kind of affecting my mood, and I couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah.
And Brittany had been like, she's like, what's going on? Like, you're just kind of like not being right. I'm like, I'm just in a funk. I don't understand. And then all of a sudden, the next day, it just clicked. And I was like, oh, and like, that was what I was working on. And oh, yeah, duh, I did this breathwork session, and
Mhm.
that was what this was about. Um,
Yep.
so it's always fascinating that lag time probably isn't the word, but that it sometimes it's just right after the session, sometimes it's a week later, and
Yeah.
or anywhere in between.
Yeah. I tell people that's their processing time. You're processing whatever came through, and you might not be able to make sense of it all, but it'll just start, unfolding.
Mm,
And during that processing time, it is so normal to feel emotional or a little sensitive,
mm,
or it's just like even with talk therapy, you're talking, and then you just brought so much up that after your session, you're like kind of like, huh, you're processing.
mm,
And that can take a few days, and it's a healing modality. It's very healing for the body.
mm,
And anything you have suppressed in you and you're going to bring up and open up, like you said, the box, there is processing after.
mm.
So it's just part of it, and it's a beautiful thing because you're working through stuff, you're
Yeah,
growing.
yep, absolutely. That growth, and just the like, once it's processed and integrated, just being able to recognize that shift
Mm-hmm.
in your life, and then the perspective that's gained from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really powerful. And I don't think that maybe that we give breath work enough credit as a treatment option, even though I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but breath work's been around for a really long time, right?
A long time, a long, long, long time. And people have said, oh, it's just woo woo. It's your own breath.
Mm,
And you're doing it. So it's something you just got to try if you don't understand it. Cause I was the same way. I was like, what's breath work? And then I tried, I was like, whoa, okay. But it's been around for so long, and more people are waking up to it, and it's becoming more popular now, which I'm so happy about because it's a it because of the healing benefits it has, and you could do it to yourself, and it can take you to that place where someone might be terrified to go using a ketamine treatment or a psychedelic. um it can take you to that place, and I hear all the time with people who do stuff like that. That
mm,
was just like this journey I did, that was just like it, or more intense, or better.
mm.
So it can take you there with just your breath.
Yep.
So,
And
and there's so much power in it because you're doing it yourself.
mm, yeah.
That's powerful.
And I find it very, because we are always like, I think as a society too, we're always looking for the next new thing, the next best thing.
Yeah.
And even as we delve into the mental health world, and and see that there are these amazing things happening in the world of mental health when as it relates to psychedelics
Mm-hmm.
and some of the treatment, and then just profound effects that are happening because of that. And while it's totally valid, and I'm a huge proponent of it, I support it 100%. I also support things like this 100%. That
Oh.
it's tested, it's time tested,
Mm-hmm.
that it's been around for so long, and there's a reason that it's stayed there and
Mm-hmm.
continued to be around because it does have the desired effect. It has
Mm-hmm.
the desired ability to treat someone and to help them heal or to just process or ground or recenter to
Mm-hmm.
to really help you to gain whatever it is that you're there to gain in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. I love it.
Yeah, that's great. Um, I was gonna ask you something else and I just lost it, dang it.
Dang
Uh
it.
yeah, that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So with some of the things which I haven't done yet, you do sound baths with the breath work. You have
Mm-hmm.
somebody come in and do a sound bath.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
how does that? It, I would I know like you usually play music when we do the sessions. Is it
Mm-hmm.
just similar to that because it's still music playing, or is it? Do you think that adds a certain level of enhancement to it?
Oh, for sure. Adds a level to of enhancement. So at the end of my one, I do sound bowls. And
Mm,
there's three ways to move energy: sound, breath, and movement. So when we're using the breath and sound, it enhances the experience. So the sound bowls after that I use, it just kind of gets you grounded into your body a little more, but it's also it's still moving any stagnant energy. So it goes in, the vibration will go in to people's bodies. It's a little more, they're cracked wide open, so
mm,
they're more sensitive to these sounds, and people come, I think, just for those sounds after the breath work. But I also will have a guy, my friend Justin, come in while I'm doing breath work, and he will do sounds. He will use drums. He will use little what are they called? Shakers. He will use all sorts of sounds, and it really just gets that energy moving and even more. It gets people even deeper into their bodies. If you haven't been to one of my sound ones, I they're my favorite because people believe they just get really deep into their bodies. Their transformations, their stories after are crazy, and I love adding sounds to it. It is, and it intensifies the experience. I love it. First time I did it with him, I was like, I have to have you. I have to have you at mine. So I try to bring him in at least once every 6 to 8 weeks to my sessions.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been on my list because I see your when you post stuff about stuff events coming up, and it's just been a matter of schedules aligning on it. But I've
Mm-hmm.
been interested in that and kind of seeing how that does enhance. And I think a lot of it too, like what we're talking about, is foreign to some people when we talk about the movement of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because as we're in this world of just take this pill and it'll
Yeah.
fix everything. We don't
Yeah.
really talk about energy and how the body works and how I guess everything in our body is interconnected and um about as close as we get to that, I think with with what mostly we're with what we're talking about with our doctors and things like that. About as close as we get to that connection is just like a healthy diet and be active.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where so much of with what you're doing with breath work and even like as it pertains to meditation and different things, you're very much accessing a different space in your mind and your body where
Mm-hmm.
you are letting an energy flow.
Yep.
And um I don't know, for me it was a foreign concept for a long time. That was just that weird hippie thing, right?
Yeah.
Until I experienced it and started to gain a better understanding of it. Um and I don't know how to ask this, but can you explain a little bit about energy and how what that really is for somebody who doesn't know it?
Yeah, well, everything's just energy. The first time I heard that, I'm like, what do you mean? Everything is just energy. Our thoughts are energy. Our feelings are energy. We are energy. Have you ever walked into a room and one way I like to explain this, and you meet somebody and you just really like the way you feel when you're around them, or you meet somebody and you're like, oh, I don't like how I feel when I'm around them. That's the energy that that person is giving off. Or actually, our energy field comes out of our body pretty far, just all around. So people can feel our energy, our presence right when they come close to us. And some people have just beautiful, amazing energy. Some people not so much. But everything is energy. And like I said, our emotions and everything, our thoughts are all energy. And so when we are breathing, when we're doing breath work and stuff, energy gets stuck in our body. And I like to think of it as when things happen to us, it just kind of gets stuck and it's like a knot.
Mm,
And the knot gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because it's stuck. So it's stagnant in our body. And so with things like breath work, it's going to go in and it's going to soften that knot, and the knot's going to get smaller and smaller and smaller because you're moving energy. So when you're breathing and you feel all this vibrations, you feel yourself like kind of buzzing, and people will shake a lot in it
mm.
and almost look like, some people will just shake a lot. That is just their energy coming in and out through them. That's why in my sessions, I'm like, move that body, move your body if it feels good, because let that energy just come through and through you. And so, like I said, we're all just energy, and energy wants to move, energy wants to come out of you. And so I don't know, even when you do like exercise, you're just moving. That's why people feel really good when they just go on a walk. You're just moving that energy, or dancing, you know what I mean? So like I said, the breath will move the energy, sounds will move the energy, and movement will move your energy in your body so that nothing feels stuck anymore.
Mm.
And you feel light. And you said you feel light after your session, you felt lighter. A lot of people just feel that's that feeling and that openness that you feel is because you just cleared out all that energy.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it is interesting to me still how that works because you do feel that and um like it's a weird thing because like one of the things I've noticed I'm always thirsty afterwards, but you are doing a lot of breathing work.
yeah.
So, usually end up drinking a bunch of water, but sometimes I'm hungry afterwards. Like,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
feel like I've burned a ton of calories just laying
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Um, but then, I'll feel that initial, like, feel really good, but calm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then, um, and you've talked about this too, and I've experienced it where I usually sleep really well
Mm-hmm.
that night. The only downside is that when I come to your breathworks, it's an hour and a half drive for me home. So a
Oh.
lot of times I'm like, I get home and then I have to like spend some time unwinding from the drive.
Yeah.
But like when I did the couples one with Brittany and you, um, like we went out and had dinner with friends afterwards, and then just went back to where we were staying and pretty much just racked out. That was it for the night, and
Yeah.
just slept hard. And it was one of the better nights sleep that I had had in a
Oh,
while
yeah.
because I was
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like, I don't know, was just in a good space, was really relaxed and just tired afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And after those journeys, it's really normal to be super tired because you just moved a lot of energy in the body. There's a
Mm,
lot going on in there. Um, some people will have a burst of energy, but like those short breath works I do in the morning can give you energy,
mm.
kind of jumpstart you and ready to go. But those journeys definitely can be very draining. That's why I'm like, you guys should sleep really, really good tonight.
Yeah.
Feel
That's
good into tomorrow. If you're not processing too heavy, you should feel, really good throughout the next day.
yeah, and that's certainly been the experience.
Yeah.
Has just really allowed a lot of that stuff to just flow freely. And I think it's
Hmm.
just important too to just not resist it at all and just
Yeah.
just let it happen, let it go.
Yeah. And if you come to a breathwork class, I tell everyone the biggest thing, the word of the day right now is surrender.
Mhm.
Let yourself surrender, try something new, go in. You don't know what's going to happen. I'll explain everything, but if it's new to you, just give yourself permission to experience something new, even if you think it's woo woo, because your mind will be quickly changed.
Yeah.
If you focus on the breath, I believe it's 40 minutes when you're doing meditation to access the subconscious mind. With breath work, it's 8 minutes, 8 to 12. As long as you keep focusing on that breath, when that mind is chattering really loud, you will get into your body and experience the experience of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's remarkable how the brain works and how this all works. It's been a super fascinating experience for me, and I
Yeah.
always look forward to going back and doing it again because there is so much growth and potential there every time to just
Mm-hmm.
learn more about myself and gain better perspective and just
Yeah.
like a cohesiveness with self.
Yeah. It's like an onion. You peel off one layer, there's another layer.
Yep, absolutely. And just get into all of it, get all the
Uh-huh.
layers and just to really learn about yourself and learn about you and the way you function and how to better just heal yourself in a positive way.
Yes. Yes.
So if somebody wanted to do breath work, um, obviously, like how can they find you? And
Yeah.
let's start there, I guess.
So my website's almost done, but right now I'm just on Instagram under that breathwork girl, or Jen Coles, Jen went in. But if you're in Utah, I host classes all the time. The best thing to do is follow me because I'll post, this is my next class, snag your spot. And then if you're not from Utah, reach out to me, DM me. Um, that's how I can get you on my schedule for a virtual one. People will have me do group virtual ones. I do that. Also one on ones, also couples as well for the virtual ones. So yeah, that's how you find me right now. It's just Instagram.
All right. And yeah, I would if you're even remotely interested, I highly recommend it. Reach out to Jen, and even if you just want to learn more about it, because maybe you're kind of like, I don't know, this
Yeah.
sounds weird. Um, I certainly was, but I can't say enough good things about it. It's
Yeah.
been a continual thing that I'm trying to implement more into my life because I've found value in it, and I think that that was a big part of having you on too, because I think others will find value in it as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially with so many people looking for different ways to process and heal from from things like PTSD or other traumas, depression, anxiety, and just really just a wide range of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's been so remarkable after sessions. Um, the ones that I've gone to, you always kind of have this little share time afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's been so amazing hearing people talk about their experience. And I'm thankful that people do talk about it and are willing to share because there's growth in that as well. But it's very interesting seeing how it affects everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's very similar ways, sometimes it's very different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a room full of people and we're all there for different reasons.
Yep.
Like and to see how doing this one thing is helping each individual in that space
Mm-hmm.
work on their own trouble, their own problem, that thing that's nagging, and that they're
Mm-hmm.
finding relief and a fix for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just so interesting. And I would definitely recommend reaching out to Jen if anybody wants to try breath work or just has more questions about it. Um, Jen, if there was one thing that you could say to somebody who's struggling right now in a dark space, um, and maybe is just thinking about giving up or is unsure of where to turn to next, what would you say to them?
Well, when I was in that space, that was rock bottom, very, very low for me. And you feel so incredibly alone, and you feel like there's nobody out there who would understand you. Nobody would know your story, that you're the only one going through it. And that's why you want out. That's why I did. One thing that helped me is to get out of my comfort zone and to find my people. And when you find people, that you'll find that you're not alone. And there's so many people going through the same things you're going through, and you don't need to suffer. We're not meant to suffer, and you don't have to suffer alone. And when you find people, you'll find modalities and different ways of healing, and just keep trying it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Don't give up. I after I wanted to give up and didn't. I didn't want to do any of these things to help me heal, but I knew I that it would help, and I tried them. I tried things that didn't, they weren't my favorite, but I've tried other things. I'm like, that helps. Try things, keep trying things. And over time, that load will be lighter. You'll start to see that light again. Everything it won't feel so heavy. And it's been a journey. It's been a long journey. It's not an overnight thing. But just, yeah, find your people. Find those people who you can relate with, so you know you're not alone.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Jen. That's great. Great
Mm-hmm.
advice. And um, we're not alone. We all have other people out there that have similar experiences.
Yeah.
We just need to be willing to be vulnerable enough to find those people and talk and tell our story.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's healing and strength in sharing our story with others and
Yes.
hearing other stories that we're all collectively going through this thing called life, and we all
Yeah.
have our struggles. Some are very
Yeah.
similar, some are very different, but they're all the hardest struggle for each of us that we're
Yep.
dealing with.
Yes. Yep. There is healing and sharing so much.
Absolutely. And yeah, so guys, find Jen on Instagram, reach out to her. I'm sure she's happy to share with you more about breath work or just anything that you might be struggling with and need help with. Jen, I appreciate you so much for coming on. Look
Yeah.
forward to getting down your way and doing another session here. Hopefully, in a couple weeks, I'll be available at the next one. And um, guys, thanks for joining us on the podcast this week. Be sure to like and follow and share this podcast to anybody that you think it could help. We're here to change lives and help people be better, help people be the best version of themselves, and to heal from whatever dark places and struggles we've been through. Um, Follow the podcast on whatever platform you are on. Give us a 5-star review so it puts us higher on the search list and we can help more people. That's the goal here, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you again next week. Love y'all. God bless.